Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Israelite Advanced Bible Study. This is the 9th of September, 2025. I'll be revisiting what I was reading the other day, Daniel chapter 11. I'm going to go back over that again and tie in some more information to it, okay? You can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, or get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. We have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen for those that want to support the channel to help it move along. That too will be greatly appreciated. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior, our Redeemer, and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, the channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to the channel. Welcome to our Israelite Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms, some current events. You need more information. We'll open it up for any questions, comments, any dialogue, any testimonies. And then we'll go into our topic for discussion, which is I'll be talking about the racist America, racist vision for America that these mega Trump supporters have. We're going to go into that a little bit, play the video, and then we'll deal with it. Okay, then like I said, we'll be dealing with Daniel chapter 11 for our scripture reading, and we'll break down on that. Then we'll pick a scripture like normal. We'll read that scripture, break it down, then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before Thee, thanking You for Your mercy and Your great power. And we appreciate You, oh Lord, for Your patience and Your guidance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank You for Your awakening of us to this great understanding of Your word. And we come before Thee that You keep, direct, and guide us through the upcoming week. Oh Lord, there are trials and mayhem and pestilence at every turn. And we see Your mighty hand in the world's affairs and how You are constructing Your people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon Thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect You greatly. Turn not Thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of You to find You, O Lord, and to dwell with You. Peace be unto You. Okay, do the song real quick. Okay, I'll read Psalms 63. It's God satisfies the thirsty soul. It's a Psalm of David. Okay. O God, Thou art my God. Early will I seek Thee. My soul thirsteth for Thee. My flesh longeth for Thee in a dry and a thirsty land where no water is, to see Thy power and Thy glory, so as I have seen Thee in the sanctuary, because Thy long loving kindness is better than life. My lips shall praise Thee. Thus will I bless Thee while I live. I will lift up mine hands in Thy name. My soul shall be satisfied with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise Thee with joyful lips. When I remember Thee upon my bed and meditate on Thee in the night watches, because Thou hast been my help. Therefore, in the shadow of Thy wings will I rejoice. My soul followeth hard after Thee. Thy right hand upholdeth me. But those that seek my soul to destroy it shall go into the lower parts of the earth. They shall fall by the sword. They shall be a portion for foxes. But the king shall rejoice in God. Everyone that swears by him shall glory. But the mouth of them that speak lies shall be stopped. So that was Psalm 63. God satisfies the thirsty soul. So what I want to shine light on was let me see. I'll just read Psalm 8. Verse 8. This it says, David says, my soul followed hard after thee, thy right hand upholding me. Okay, so we know who his right hand is. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. That being said, let me go to my current events. Here we go.
Attempt to shrink its balance sheet, combined with the Treasury's flood of short-term debt, has pushed an already fragile system to the brink. These banks that already have razor-thin, if any, reserves are now just one shock away from total collapse. But when that collapse comes, it won't just mean another 2008-style bailout. It could also mean bank bail-ins, where depositors like you and I are forced to save the system with our own savings against our will. But this isn't just a hypothetical. Other countries facing similar threats have already enacted these bail-ins, and the legal framework is already in place here today in the United States. All it takes is one weak link. And today, that weak link that could set off the chain reaction is commercial real estate. For the last few years, many experts and analysts have been warning about a commercial real estate crisis, one that is lurking in the shadows, ready to rear its head, which makes sense given the amount of empty buildings we have. Let me ask you, how many of you have driven around looking at the empty office buildings, the vacant strip malls, apartment buildings not in use, and wondered who is on the hook for all of these properties and how has a crash not happened yet? The answer is that once again, banks were bailed out, only this time it was done quietly. See, after 2008, the Fed realized that big public bank bailouts aren't popular. So what did? They got craftier, sneakier. And instead of firing up the old printing press, no, they created crisis management tools, which I will explain in a minute, that still keep the system running without raising alarm bells for the public. But make no mistake, it still directly will impact your wallet and your financial future. Despite the lack of mainstream media coverage on the topic, the commercial real estate crisis has only grown under the surface. Right now, somewhere between $1 to $1.3 trillion worth of commercial real estate loans are set to come due this year. Loans that were financed at rock bottom rates that no longer exist, even with potential rate cuts. These borrowers came in at 2 or 3%, and now they are facing refinancing at double, triple what they originally signed up for. They cannot afford it. The math does not work up, especially given that at the same time, those office buildings continue to lay vacant, businesses are cutting costs, and brick and mortar demand continues to decline, all of which is evident in the delinquencies on office and multifamily loans. Going to pay for, meaning that we will continue to lose the value of each and every single dollar we own. A bailout in disguise is still a bailout, but it is not just a bailout, unfortunately, that we have to worry about. Bail-ins, something that I know keeps many of you up at night, a serious concern for depositors, is that when a bank becomes insolvent, who do they turn to fix the crisis? It's not taxpayers. It's not deflating the dollar more than they already have. No, it is the depositors themselves.
This is a team of FDIC agents preparing to seize a bank outside Chicago. They've checked into this hotel under a fictitious name, CB and Associates, to prevent a run on the bank. They don't want anyone to know who they are or why they're here.
You all know that this is for the closing of Heritage Community Bank. But instead of printing new money, what they're going to do is they're going to turn to you, to your savings, to your checking, to your assets. They're going to take from you to make themselves whole. And before you say, well, they can never do that, that will never happen, it already is legal here in the United States. The FDIC, the people who are supposed to be responsible for keeping your funds safe, have been caught on camera laughing about how the fact the American people don't realize this is legal.
People understand they can be bailed in, but you don't want a huge run on the institution. But I mean, they're going to be. I think you've got to think of the unintended consequences of taking a public that has more full faith and confidence in the banking system than maybe people in this room do.
In fact, a bail-in to small scale has already happened in Oklahoma just last year. And on top of that, we have seen this happen in multiple other countries who have experienced extreme currency devaluation and a sudden shock to the system. All of this happening very quickly with little to no time to prepare.
I plan to go to the bank and withdraw all the money I have in there. I can't trust them anymore. You know, they're just, it's theft. They're stealing from me.
So whether it's a bailout that destroys the value of your dollars or a bail-in that takes your dollars directly from you, either way, your wealth is used to fix their mistakes. It doesn't matter whether you're the best saver. It doesn't matter whether you're a hard worker. It doesn't matter if you've done everything right. The system will always protect itself over you. That's
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. Here we go. Yeah, I'm constantly always talking about this right here. So here go another example. Like I said, they have this on the money, so we know it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when it's gonna happen. Okay, check it out.
Is natural, then it is also ancient, almost, impossibly so. Using its velocity as a clue, astronomers estimated that it could be between 3 and 11 billion years old. To put that into perspective, it might have formed before our sun even existed, a relic from a star system that has long since died.
He's talking about an asteroid.
This staggering age means that 3I Atlas could be carrying materials from an era of the universe that no longer exists, matter shaped by processes alien to our current galaxy. But this only deepened the mystery. How could an object survive billions of years of interstellar travel without fragmenting or eroding? Cosmic radiation, impacts with micrometeoroids, and the sheer emptiness of deep space should have worn it down to nothing. Yet, here it was, intact, massive and bright. Some scientists speculated that its structure must be incredibly dense, made of exotic ices and materials hardened under unimaginable pressures. Others suggested it could be a fragment of a destroyed planet, ejected violently into space and set on a course that would eventually bring it here. But then came the theories that unsettled everyone. What if its durability, its smoothness, its strange stability were not natural at all? What if it was built this way? A construct designed to survive billions of years, silently crossing star systems until it found us. Perhaps the most unnerving aspect of 3I Atlas is its path through the solar system. Calculations show it will reach its closest point to the Sun on October 30th, passing just inside the orbit of Mars before being flung back into interstellar space. But unlike other interstellar comets, its trajectory has raised eyebrows. Its orbit does not appear random. The way it threads through gravitational influences, the precision with which it bypasses Earth while still offering us a clear view, feels too exact. Some astronomers argue this is nothing more than celestial mechanics playing out on a grand scale. But others quietly admit that its course looks suspiciously like navigation, as if its approach was meant to be visible, meant to be studied, but never meant to collide. If that's true, then 3I Atlas isn't just a traveler, it's a messenger placed on a path to intersect with our gaze exactly when humanity had the technology to see it.
Okay, so you say, what are you talking about? Here we go.
and NASA detected a mysterious object speeding toward Earth. Some actual bona fide experts think it might not be your typical space rock or maybe any kind of rock or a natural phenomenon at all.
The alert went out across every major observatory. Turn your eyes to the ecliptic plane. An interstellar object, 3I Atlas, was defying all expectations. Initial tracking data showed it was speeding up, but not in a way that made any sense. It was a ghost in the machine of our solar system. So the James Webb Space Telescope was given a single urgent task: find out what this thing is. The infrared images are now back, and they don't show rock or ice. They show a plume of superheated gas, a bizarre chemical composition, and a pattern of acceleration that looks eerily engineered. An impossible image. Something truly bizarre is happening out there in the cold, dark vacuum of space. You see, for years, we've been finding rocks and ice that wander between the stars. But we've never seen anything like 3I Atlas. Discovered on the 1st of July, 2025, this object immediately set off alarms. It wasn't just its speed, a mind-bending 130,000 miles per hour, or its path, which was perfectly aligned with the planets in our solar system. The real mystery was that it was accelerating. It was getting a tiny but constant push. And the thing is, nobody could figure out why. Comets get a push from the sun when ice turns to gas and shoots out, like a steam kettle. But that gas always points away from the sun. The plume from 3I Atlas was different. It pointed towards the sun. This detail breaks all the known rules of cometary physics. It was like seeing a boat's wake appearing in front of it. This puzzle was so intense that astronomers did something unprecedented. They aimed the most powerful observational tool ever created, the James Webb Space Telescope, directly at this anomaly. The Webb telescope is special. It doesn't see light like our eyes do. It sees in infrared. It sees heat. Earth. Why would you build a simple robotic probe that big? One theory that fits the scale is the ARC hypothesis. What if this isn't a scout ship, but a lifeboat, a generation ship? Imagine a civilization facing the end of their world, their star dying, their planet growing cold. What would they do? They might build a hollowed out world, an artificial planetoid, and set their entire population adrift in the cold sleep of hibernation, sent on a journey across thousands of years to the nearest star with a promising looking planet. The constant low-level thrust wouldn't be for exploration, but for deceleration, a multi-generational braking maneuver to slow down just enough to be captured by our sun's gravity. We might not be looking at a piece of technology. We could be looking at a city of ghosts, species on one of those planets to become technologically advanced enough to be noticed, to start broadcasting radio waves, for instance. And once it detected those signals, it would wake up. It would move from its hiding place to initiate first contact. The acceleration of 3I Atlas could be that awakening, an ancient watcher finally making its move now that we've advertised our existence to the cosmos.
Okay, any comments on that? What you think?
Shalom, everyone. So I actually heard about this a while back, but I didn't bring it up during study because I didn't know if it would be anything I would be interested in hearing. So I was like, I ain't gonna say nothing until I hear y'all say something about it. And because I'm always reading stuff, different types of things, and so I've been heard about it. And NASA at first, when they first discovered it, they thought that it would be here by November, because first they were saying November. Right. Now I see it, since they said they speeded up, they're talking about the end of October. Then I had been hearing that they were saying like they're thinking that it was some beings on it that was 7 foot tall, African American looking. And I'm like, how would they know that? You know what I mean? If you saying you don't even know what it is, you're not quite sure. you know, but then these different theories coming up, why would you just assume that that could be something that, you know, could be happening unless you already was aware of it? Then I'm like, okay, is this kind of like a distraction as well? Because there's always something going on where they try to get your attention towards one thing, is be something else going on where they try to distract you with one thing.
Right.
So I just, you know, I just feel like, me personally, I do feel like as big as the galaxy is, it probably is other beings that exist, and it always has. You know, I just think like now it's so much stuff coming out now that people didn't used to talk about so openly, because it was kind of shone upon if you discuss certain things. But now
Right.
it's like all this different information that comes out, people are more interested in it, and then they go and actually research it now, you know, because it's easy. Everything is pretty much at the tip of your finger. So they're starting to know and wanting to know more information. So, I mean, me personally, like I said, I'm always reading different type of things that they catch my attention. You know, I just be trying to see, because I feel like it's so much more information, and once you feel like you know it all, then you might as well die, because it's always something that we can learn from each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, so, but yeah, I been heard about it. It's just, I don't know. At first they were saying like they didn't know what it was. Then they
Right.
just calling it different things that they think it is, and it's kind of strange. Um, because like they were saying, like the way that it looks from a distance, and the way that it's coming into, getting ready to enter into our atmosphere.
Right.
And I was looking on TikTok, and a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, you know, these are people, they coming to get us," and all of that. I mean, it's crazy. People thinking all kind of stuff now that they hearing about it. They thinking that is. I don't even heard some people talking about it's the Anunnaki. You know, they coming like they just, people just don't know what they be talking about. They just say anything, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I heard about it. If you get a chance, check it out. Look and just look at some of the comments people are saying that they think this is really interesting.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. You familiar with what I brought up about the what's on the dollar bill, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. They already have it already when they inked it, when they printed the dollar. It's on the dollar. You can that it's going to be a big, massive water event, tsunami that's going to hit the East Coast. So and that's the reason I keep bringing this up, because they got to keep on putting that narrative out there for when it do happen, because it's going to happen, because it's on the money. They got to keep putting a narrative out there that it's these asteroids that's coming, from outer space. So that's the reason I keep bringing it up, because eventually it's going to happen, but it's going to be manufactured. Because on the dollar, it's actually a incinerator device. When you turn the dollar a certain type of way, folded a certain way, you can see the incinerator device going down in the ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean. So it's going to be man-made tsunami. So, but they got to keep on making it look like it's these asteroids that's coming, passing the Earth. You know what I'm saying? Keeping people aware that these asteroids out there. Right. Anybody else?
Um. All right.
Yeah,
Well, I had
go
one more thing I want to say, but you know, and then also they have that Project Blue Beam, where
right,
you know, things will look real. You know, it could be
yeah,
projected where it actually look more. You know what I'm saying? So that's
right.
another thing, and that they could be doing, because from my understanding, right, we're in a it's a dome over the earth, right? That God put there to divide us from, that you can't penetrate, right?
That's what some people say. I mean, I'm
Okay.
not all the way there on that, but yeah, they say it's a dome that's covered everything. It's pretty much starts in Alaska and Antarctica. But yeah, a lot of people
Okay.
say that in flat Earth, it's a dome, and the bottom of the Earth is flat, but the dome on top of, yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Yes, sir. Shalom Aleichem, everyone. Were you in response to what Mika was saying? Were you saying that I just forgot my question, Brother Leonard?
Yeah, flat Earth.
No, sir. Were you saying that they are putting the asteroid story out there to negate what's really going to happen?
They put it out there so it can. When it do happen, they got a motive. That's why they keep bringing it up, because they're gonna eventually do it. When you go back and look at how these people operate, they at a point now where the population is so huge, they want to reduce the population, and so we see all the things they've done, like what they did and with the jab and all these other different things they got going on right now, where they reducing the population, but it's not accelerating to the point where they wanted it. So it's that right there. They're going to use that tsunami.
Okay.
It's going to cause the whole West Coast, whole East Coast, and besides, America through anyway. So they trying to find. They got to control. They're doing a control demo job on America, because they can't just collapse it, because it's connected to a whole nother global system. And if they do it, the whole system gonna go down. So they trying to do a controlled demo job on America, and that ain't moving fast enough, because of it. They going down. They're going down, but it ain't happening in the way they wanted to. So this right here, it's for me looking at it, looking at what they've been doing, and like I said before, it's on the money. So
Right.
that's like we know it's gonna happen, because of Timothy McVeigh, Oklahoma City bombing was on the dollar. The 9/11 was on the dollar, and this water event was on the dollar. So we know it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when it's gonna happen. And like I said, it's got to do with collapse of America, and it's got to do with population control.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna go to my current events. This right here is very interesting to me right here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is paying attention. I hope you are ready for this broadcast. We have a rather interesting topic we are going to be covering, a very important topic. I'd like to pay attention to what's going on all over this planet. It's not a good idea to only be involved in what's happening in your neck of the woods, okay? There are some very, very serious things happening, and if you're not paying attention, you just might miss it, right? Unfortunately, there is no end to the distractions that are out here. You know what I mean? No end to it. That being said, if you pay attention to these things, be sure to circle back to what is really happening, okay? We can't close our eyes to the things that are happening around us, but be very sure that you're circling back to reality.
Need better internet than 5G? Your search is
Okay.
A lot of people don't pay attention to what's going on in Africa. For so long, they've been trained to think that Africa doesn't matter. This is something that has been done through the media, right? American media. Oh, they are just little children who we don't have to pay attention to. So many snide remarks have been made about so-called Black people, but something else is happening. They are experiencing a major revolution right now. They are saying no more. Have y'all noticed that? Africa is saying no more. You will no longer bully us. You will not mistreat us. And you will not continue to steal our resources. This is what's going on over in Africa. I hope you are paying attention. I hope you're paying attention. Now, this is exciting news. Of course, there will always be scoffers who will pretend like what's happening in Africa is just nothing. But America and the West are shaking in their boots. I'm not the only one saying this either. I've heard so many others talking about this. This is why I'm coming to you, because it kind of excites me a bit when I hear so-called white people or Europeans saying these same things, right? It excites me because that means they know what's going on, right? They know what's going on. So Africa just shocked the world with some of these bold moves that they've made. America and the West are finished. Finished. It is what it is. That time has come. And we are seeing this unfolding live in a living color. So I'm going to be showing something to you. I actually can't show you the video, but I'm going to go over some of the things that are being spoken of in the video. And like I said, it's exciting to me, okay? Mariah in the chat says, all of us must turn to the Most High and cry out with a loud voice, okay? That's what he's waiting on us to do. I agree with that. So Africa is making some bold moves. Now, this is a map that was recently released, y'all. All of that you see in red, all of these countries in Africa that are in red, they have signed military agreements with Russia. Now, hear that. And it's been stated that some of those that are still in white are going to be signing as well. Now, the reason why they're signing military agreements with Russia is because Russia has observed the fact that America and the West have used bully tactics for a long time concerning Africa. They've used bully tactics. Okay. Carly in the chat says she don't want to cry, but oh my gosh, this is exciting. Praise the Most High. Absolutely, absolutely. So Russia has kind of looked at the fact that Africa's been bullied by the West, and the West has really had their way in Africa, but many are rising up. Niger rose up against the French, and they're raising up against all of these European nations and saying, we're tired of you stealing from us, taking our resources, our uranium, right? We're tired of it. Enough is enough. And they have literally thrown the West out. They've thrown them out. They said, you're out of here. No more. You can't do business here anymore. And they have been left with no other choice but to get out. No other choice but to get out. Now, I'm going to show you the video that I want you to see in just a moment, but they were saying that the West has already spent billions of dollars running a pipeline to get resources from Africa. They've piped it all the way through so that they can get it to European nations. So basically, let me tell you what that looks like. This kind of stuff can burn you up when you really think about it, okay? Not in the natural sense, but it can really tick you off a bit. So they want to run pipelines from the natural resources of Africa, in the continent of Africa, run it straight through Africa and right on up into Europe. You say to yourself, you got a lot of nerve. You're gonna take our stuff, pipe it through our land into yours to benefit your people, while at the same time treating the people that you're stealing it from like trash. Well, as some of you have said in the chat, they cut it off. Africa made a decision. They cut it off. They said, you ain't getting nothing. I don't care how many billions of dollars you spent on your pipeline. It is now obsolete.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about that? Okay, we got to open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments, any dialogue about anything, any testimonies about anything they come across on this channel or in their research they want to talk about? Now's the time.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. I can't remember the scripture. Maybe it was in Kings. I'm not sure. When David had his son that was killed by another son for raping their sister Tamar, and that brother left, and a lot of different things happened. Was that son Absalom, who was, I guess, some way or another forgiven and came back? Was he supposed to stay? Was he supposed to die? One, just based on the laws because he killed somebody. And two, was he supposed to stay where he was before he came back and then tried to take over the kingdom?
Absalom and the girl that his brother raped her.
Right.
Yeah, so that was Absalom and his sister had Tamar had the same mother and father. And Amnon was from another woman, another wife of David's.
Right.
And Amnon had a lust for her and he ended up raping her. And so David just sends him away. He never judged it. He never judged Amnon for what he done. And Absalom didn't like it. So Absalom plotted up a plan to kill him. So Absalom killed him. And then after he killed him, David just sent Absalom away. He killed him and fled. Absalom fled. And he stayed away, but Joab knew that the effect that Absalom had on David. That was his favorite son. And Joab set it up for them to get back together to have a meeting or to come together. And Joab was the one that orchestrated him. The reason why he ended up back in the house of David's house. But Absalom was always rebellious. We know that because eventually, a lot of it had to do with what David allowed to happen to his sister, Absalom's sister. But then eventually Absalom tried to usurp David's throne. But we know it didn't happen. He got killed. But that's what that was all about. Also, it was already prophesied to David about what he did to Uriah. The Lord put he said the sword, blood was going to always be in David's house because of what he did to Uriah. You know who Uriah is, right?
Yes, sir. The first husband.
Yeah, Bathsheba's husband.
Yes, sir.
David sent him to the front lines, and then withdrew his troops, and they killed him because he knew Bathsheba was pregnant with his child. So he had Absalom killed. That's what started all the drama in David's house. Blood was in David's house because of that.
Yes, sir. So nowhere in the text, in the scriptures, does it outright say this, but
Say what?
nowhere in the scripture does it outright say this. But was Joab wrong for basically having that female go and portray to be this woman who also had like lost her husband and her son and give this sad story, which was a lie? Because she then does go back and David asked her, did Joab set you up to do all this? And she says, yes, you're wise. You know, the Lord has given you wisdom. So how do I say this? Should David had let his son not come back to, and then basically Absalom trying to take over the throne would have never happened?
No, David loved Absalom. That was his most favorite son. So out of love, he brought him back. And Absalom knew that all it took was for them to, he hadn't seen him. That was his most beloved son, but he hadn't seen him. So Absalom knew the minute when he saw him, he wasn't going to worry about all of what everything else that happened. David wanted his son back that he loved. And so David brought him back. Not really understanding the significance of it and the circumstances surrounding it. Because Absalom had a disdain for David. So he brought him back out of love for his son. And that, like I said, for his favorite son. Okay. Got anything else on that?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was still muted. No, sir, not anything else on that. There's also in while David was reigning before he died, when I think the father or the king specifically of the Ammonites had died, and he goes to say, you know, they did right by me, they treated me nicely, so I'm just going to send some comforters. So he sends these comforters, servants of the kingdom of Israel, and people get to talking in that kingdom, and they say, well, what if he's just sending these people to be spies? And that's when the men, are just put to shame. You know, they get their clothes cut open, half their beard shaved, and they get sent back to David. So my question is, David's response is something along the lines of basically stay here until your beards grow. So are men supposed to have beards because they need to not have shame? Instead of just cutting off the rest of their beard, they stayed somewhere else for their beards to grow back.
Right, yeah, right. They a beard is part of who a man is, because it's like if the Creator didn't want a man to have a beard, why do we grow one? So it's part of the law that a man it's certain things he don't do to his beard. So when they shaved him off, David just told them to stay in place until they regrow their beards. The beard returned to them. And another thing you have to understand about that is that go back to Abraham and go back to Moses. Even with Moses and Miriam and Aaron, the Lord had to step in and chastise Miriam because they meek men. They righteous men, and they're not looking at things the way everybody else looking at it. And so they're making certain decisions based off of righteousness, based off of what the Most High, the counseling the Most High have on them, and a lot of people ain't liking it. Like David and Absalom. David is making decisions based off of his God, but Absalom looking at it from another way, and he developed a disdain for David. Joab the same way. So that's what a lot of that is. People they trying to the man of God is meek and meager, and they trying to strong arm him, and that's when the Lord have to come in and step over. If you go back and look at all of them, they was men of they wasn't low self-esteem, but they was men of a they was you know, they wasn't no bullies or strong people. They did everything in a meek and mild and manner way. And a lot of people take that for being weak, but that's their countenance. And Lord, and then when you look back through history, you see the Lord got to come in and step in and do something with those people because that's who they are. That's part of their makeup.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And I apologize, everyone. I'm talking. What I was referring to was in 2 Samuel chapter 10. And then Brother Leonard, like you said, that's how I felt. If you read the entire chapter, that because the Ammonites thought that David was trying to be sneaky and not actually just be kind, and give them condolences, that they asked the Syrians to help them fight against David. And the very last verse says, or the last two, and the Syrians fled before Israel, and David slew the men of 700 chariots of the Syrians and 40,000 horsemen, and smote Shobach, the captain of their host, who died there. And when all the kings that were servant to Hadazers saw that they were smitten before Israel, they made peace with Israel and served them. So the Syrians feared to help the children of Ammon anymore. Just going along with what you said, he was trying to be kind. It says it.
Also, who are the Ammonites? Who the Moabites and the Ammonites?
The children from Lot and his daughters.
And what their relationship with Israel according to the Lord.
I don't know what's.
He told them don't mingle with them.
Oh yes, yes, sir.
Same thing he told them about the Gentiles. So you already in left field because you even interacting with them. You already know they ain't right because the Lord also told Israel to stay away from them. That's just like the story with Ruth and Naomi. What is Naomi doing in Moab?
So you know what? That story I always questioned. I didn't read it in detail, except I was just always lost to why. Like it wasn't like all of the Israelites had to leave and go to Moab. I had always wondered, like, why did you, your husband, and your two sons go over there anyway? I was so lost with that.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's me. Doing my research. It just tied me to so many lies that's been told, and it goes back to with the transatlantic slave trade in 70 AD when they tell you the Israelites left in 70 AD, but they really left in 143 BC. But when you find out that Israel was stiff-necked people, they had ended up in captivity not only under the Egyptians, but it's like 14 other people. Philistines had them in the captivity, Moabites. So during those captivities, just like with Naomi and Ruth, Naomi and her sons and her husband, you had Israelites. A lot of Israelites had fled into Africa, never came back. That was living like Naomi and Ruth. So you have to that had to come into play nowadays. Now that everything's coming out, so they knew that over the west coast of Africa, Negro land, they had been fleeing over there. So when Antiochus came and the prophet said Daniel completely came to an end. Like I said, the angel told Daniel the indignation gonna come to a full and the time of the end, not the end of the world. That's what so many people don't, these nut buckets that trying to prophesy about the end of the world. They going from Daniel to Revelations. No, he's telling them the nation of Israel, what he set up. The nation of Israel, he's going to denigrate, he's going to do away with that. And he used Antiochus, the Antichrist, to do it. So when he did bring the nation of Israel to an end, they had all these different places where Israelites already had fled to. So they fled to those places. And then eventually a lot of them went up to the top, up to where they say Azareth is at, what they say is America, but it's actually Azareth up by the top of the Mediterranean on the backside of the Sahara Desert. You had some up there, some came down into South Africa and all that. Then like I said, they've been migrating, and there was already a group there in Niger. So eventually they all come together. That's how they all ended up in Negro land. And like I said, that understanding the story with Naomi and Ruth, you can see all that. They was constantly being scattered and coming back. Scattered and coming back. And a lot of them didn't come back, like the 10 tribes. Like I said, when you go to Ezra, the commandment that Ezra was going to bring, Cyrus was going to come and bring the commandment for the Israelites to go back in 70 years. When he gave the commandment, he said, all Israel. So why would he say that? Because the southern kingdom was in Shushan, one province, and the 10 tribes that was taken was in Assyria. All 12 tribes is in under Nebuchadnezzar. It's just they're in two different provinces. So he said all Israel can go back. But Judah, Benjamin, Levi was the majority that went back. Some of those other people trickled back, but the majority of the 10 tribes didn't want to go back. So they went to the West Coast of Africa. That's your plumb line for the Negro land. And so when the prophecy with Antiochus came to pass, they already knew where another group of their people was at. And that's where they fled to. And they ended up to fulfill prophecy. Yeah. Okay, anybody else got anything? Okay, everybody good on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let me play this. That's like right now, with these people got so much stuff going on that they got concocted. But when you really understand what happened to us, and the Most High started showing you, revealing these, you can see when it's him and when it ain't him. For example, right here, watch this.
How long before I see results?
It's like no one in here. I'm shocked. Apparently, this is the busiest airport in the world.
The world has made its decision. They're not coming to America anymore. Airports are reporting empty international arrival halls. Entire wings built to handle millions of travelers now sit eerily quiet. International arrivals to the U.S. are plummeting, while countries like Canada, Japan, and Mexico are breaking tourism records. Airlines are slashing routes to America. Foreign carriers are pulling out completely, and terminals once buzzing with life are being permanently shut down. And if this video hits 1,000 likes, we'll reveal exactly which countries are leading this coordinated boycott of America, Las Vegas's international gateway. And you'll hear nothing but the hum of air conditioning echoing through empty corridors. Gates that once welcomed plane loads of high-rolling visitors from Asia now sit dark for days at a time. I used to process 200 Japanese passengers every morning, shares Maria, a customs officer with 15 years of experience. Now I'm lucky if I see 20 international passengers in an entire week. The terminal feels like a ghost town. Korean Air reduced their Seoul-Las Vegas route by 60% in 2024, citing insufficient demand. China Eastern suspended service entirely. Even Canada has pulled back. Air Canada cut Toronto-Vegas flights in half. The numbers are devastating. International passenger traffic has dropped 47% below 2019 levels. There's Terminal 5, the international gateway to America's heartland, operates at 35% capacity. Multiple gates remain permanently shuttered, their jet bridges leading nowhere as international carriers systematically abandon the Windy City. Air India suspended Delhi-Chicago service entirely in 2025, ending India's connection to the Midwest. Swiss International cut Zurich routes. Even Canada reduced access. Air Canada slashed Toronto-Chicago flights by 60%. Corporate conferences that drew thousands of international attendees are now 95% domestic, reveals Patricia, a Chicago tourism coordinator. The business isolation is profound. International corporations maintaining Chicago offices increasingly route through Toronto for global states around it. Miami International Airport should dominate Latin American connectivity. Instead, it's watching hemispheric leadership slip away as Latin America chooses alternative routes to North American prosperity. Copa Airlines reduced Miami frequency by 45% while boosting Panama City-Toronto service by 60%. Executives cite airport accessibility as a factor in meeting locations, explains a Wall Street consultant. We're losing international financial dialogue to more accessible cities. Immigration processing that once took 30 minutes now averages 3 hours, shares former customs supervisor Maria Santos.
Okay, so what you think? So this place you can't, that's major. We just heard it, we just saw what's going on with the banks and the real estate. So between that, if nobody's coming here, it ain't nothing but a matter of time. Creative behind that. Bringing this place to the ground. Any comments? Okay.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say for a while now, it's been pretty crazy how much spending the current White House administration is doing. It's surreal. Like if you pay attention to the news and or any information at all, and you know the value of the dollar is decreasing, it's shocking how much the White House is spending. So
Exactly.
I don't know if anybody else heard, but Alcatraz was basically only used for a month, and now it needs to shut down. That was a lot of money for only 1 month of use. That was a lot. And then what is it called? I don't keep up with certain things, but whatever that theater is called that he's helping rebuild and put back together, the JFK, whatever. I don't remember what it's called. I just thought, why are we spending so much money when in all reality, we don't have money to be spending? And it's like they know, so they know they can't go in any more debt, so they're just still spending. It's really ridiculous.
Right. It's like they already know what the end result going to be. That's why. That's the way I see it. They already know what's in the works. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Anybody else? So this is our topic for discussion right here. Like I said, it's just we'll play it and we'll talk about it.
This a lot lately, which is concerning in and of itself. But there's a once fringe ideology that is becoming far more mainstream in recent years. It's something we should be paying close attention to. It's called national conservatism. It's a far-right isolationist national ideological faction. This past week, national conservatism at the National Conservatism Conference, NatCon for short, it was held in D.C., and you can pick up a vibe from some of the names of the panels. And the speeches like, quote, the threat of Islamism in America, or the Bible and American renewal, or overturn Obergefell, which of course is the Supreme Court ruling that legalized same-sex marriage. And again, this was not a fringe event. These speeches did not happen in any shadows. The conference was attended by Republican members of Congress, officials from the Trump administration, and wealthy donors. One of the more notable speeches came from Eric Schmidt, who's the Republican senator from Missouri.
Check it out.
His speech posed the question, quote, what is an American?
These are the sons and daughters of the Christian pilgrims that poured out from Europe's shores to baptize a new world in their ancient faith. America, in all its glory, is their gift to us, handed down across the generations. It belongs to us. It's our birthright. It's our heritage, our destiny. If America is everything and everyone, then it is nothing and no one at all. We funneled in millions of foreign nationals to take the jobs, salaries, and futures that should belong to our own children.
My word. Just straight up saying all the quiet parts out loud. As the Associated Press writes, the conference, quote, underscored the movement's vision of an America rooted in limited immigration, Christian identity, and the preservation of what speakers called the nation's traditional culture, end quote. According to Senator Schmidt, and I remind you, this is a United States senator, America is a country by and for Christian Europeans. He decries immigration, though he conveniently enough leaves space for the 19th century German immigrants from whom he is descended. But he excludes non-white immigrants, both those who came here of their own accord and those who did not, like enslaved Americans, the ones whose labor literally built this country. As for Native Americans, he seemed to argue that the violence of colonization and pushing Native people out wasn't too bad because tribes also would go to war with each other. In a particularly chilling moment, Senator Schmidt made this declaration, quote, but America does not belong to them, it belongs to us. It is our home. It is a heritage entrusted to us by our ancestors. It is a way of life that is ours and only ours. And if we disappear, then America too will cease to exist, end quote. If we disappear. I cannot stress this point enough. This is not some random podcaster at a fringe conference. This is a sitting United States senator peddling unabashedly and unmistakably white supremacist language and ideology right out in the open. Keep talking about they, by the way. I think I may have found the they. Joining me now is Nicole Hannah-Jones, reporter for the New York Times Magazine and the creator of the landmark cross-platform, the 1619 Project. She's also the founder of the Center for Journalism and Democracy at Howard University. I think you might be the they. Like when he keeps worrying about the they who are trying to take our culture away, and I mean, you don't even respond. I was watching you in the camera when I was reading the stuff and running the quote. You're kind of all over it. You're over this. You've seen this movie before.
Yeah, I mean, we are the they, Ali. Yeah. You, me, yeah. And frankly, millions and millions of Americans. You know, the truth of our history is just so inconvenient right now. And as I was listening to this, I'm actually appreciative, right? Because for years, Republicans have fought historical frameworks that taught with mounds of supporting evidence, including actual words of our founders themselves, that America was founded as a racist, white supremacist nation. I mean, this has been their critique of the 1619 Project and other texts like that, that they're asserting that, you know, we were founded as a fundamentally white supremacist nation. So it's actually refreshing to see someone telling the truth, just to admit that this is what they think America was founded on and who they think America is for. It's also, of course, very ironic for him to claim the Pilgrims of 1620, but then say that his own family came here in Germany in the 1840s, and that somehow that makes him more of an American than me and my ancestors, knowing the first Africans came before the Pilgrims in 1619, and that by the time his ancestors arrived in 1840, most Black people here were born in America, because we had stopped importing Africans in 1808. So that somehow you could admit that you yourselves descend from immigrants who come when, you know, what drew them to these shores. Yeah, that, you know, they.
Okay. Any comments on that? Thank.
Yes, sir. I have too many comments. So of course, recently, President Trump was kind enough to tell the Smithsonian that they were portraying some good things, but not enough good things about America. And he specified that slavery should not be mentioned in the Smithsonian. So recently, in line to the clip that you just played, there was some evangelical meeting that President Trump had, and the things, and it's Fox News played the whole thing, but the things they said, it's just shocking because, or the people that were there, not the things they said, the people that were there is just shocking. He has some White House faith thing that he started in May. And again, it's supposed to be the state and the church are separate, but he started it for the White House. The lady who's leading it is also some evangelical that squishes money and pennies out of people, saying things like, we have to support Donald Trump or else demonic this, that, and the other. She's also the person that prayed when the White House was being attacked in January, and said that basically let the Lord take over these people and whatever. She's really crazy, but she's leading this whole thing. Some of the people he mentioned that are backing him, one of them is on one of the clips they use the term fringe, some pastor that is of some church that nobody even knew of, but when they heard about it, they thought he was some far radical type pastor. He himself wrote a book like in 1996 that tries to get people to believe slavery was not as bad as people are making it seem. There were some horrible things that happened, but in the South, there were many slave owners and slaves that had great relationships. Now we fast forward well past 1996, and he's one of the people at this meeting. And it sounds like just like what Trump was just singing to the press, which is slavery isn't that bad. We need to get it out of the Smithsonian. Trump was nice enough actually to say as he's talking, but don't worry about it. The Smithsonian, they did some things because somebody else was in office, but they're fixing the bad things. And he didn't say what, but the only thing he mentioned that was bad is that they talk about slavery. So imagine, it's sick to me, but imagine Hebrew Israelites not even knowing right now the way they have been brainwashed to understand the Bible, or not even read the Old Testament, let alone read it and understand that it's not the same God in the New Testament. But then to go all the way back and start erasing slavery so that you never start putting some pieces together that you're not from here. Because I see that now. Young people in school now, when they learn about slavery, they're surprised. I was never surprised when I heard about it in school because my parents talked about it. My family talked about it. We're so many generations removed now from just slavery that people get shocked when they're learning as a youth. And I'm just like, oh, these people are sick. They're really trying to erase the true Israelites by any means necessary. And it's just sick.
Right.
He
Yeah,
actually,
it's to that too.
President Trump,
It's repercussions to that.
you said
You know what I'm saying? It's repercussions to that. That's how we know we're at the end. The same the Egyptians tried to do that. And that's when the Lord in heaven took over. And so we're in the same position now. Okay. Yeah. So that's still a disadvantage.
He has a commission to fight anti-Christian. Like they said some really outlandish things I've never heard of. So even though government and church is supposed to be separate currently, and some of this stuff started in January. A lot of stuff started when he got in the White House, but he's now publicly talking about it. But he has basically like an anti-Semitism, anti-Christian commission.
Right. Like the guy just said, Alivachi, that Christian nationalism. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice name for a redneck. That's what we
yes.
So that's where we at. Right. Okay.
I do want to say one last thing. It tickled me whatever news, I think it was PBS again, the anchor was asking the two guests something about, oh, these evangelicals, and both guests were saying, well, you have these people that support you, so you have to check those boxes. This is what they want. So regardless of whether it's what they want or not, one guest said to the anchor, well, yes, the evangelicals have been giving him a lot of votes and they're really great supporters. And the next guest tickled me. And I'm like, did anybody else in the world catch this? Because then she said, the white evangelicals, like she corrected it, the white evangelicals. And I thought, oh, that's interesting that you felt like you needed to say that.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, they like the guy was just saying, they're at the point now where they're not hiding nothing. They come right out with what they want to say. And just blunt. Just blob it out. That's what they is. They think that what they're doing is working, but it ain't working. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom. I just want to ask you a question, Brother
Okay.
Leonard. So, is part of the reason why they're acting the way that they're acting in, well, the way that I feel like they're panicking. Is it because of the 6,000 years they were given to reign that it has come to an end? Is that a true thing?
Right. Yeah, that's
With them knowing.
Right. They
I'm sorry.
they see their world going. They see their world is disintegrating, and they tried everything they can to stop it from happening, but they can't stop it because it was spoken by the Lord of hosts, and then we at that point coming to a pass. Like the same happened to us. Like I was saying earlier with the Book of Daniel, he said that Daniel, the angel Gabriel told Daniel, the Lord's indignation has come to an end, and nobody really understands that. He's in his dealings with Israel. The nation of Israel came to an end, not the world. So he brought Antioch Epiphanes, and he brought the nation of Israel to an end. It destroyed the temple, ran the Israelites out of the land, ran them into West Africa. And so now the Gentile reign is at the end. And he bringing it to the end and bringing us back, like he said. That's what we're looking at. And they squirming and doing everything they can to try to prevent it, but they can't stop it because it's a spoken word of the Lord. And it's unfolding right in front of everybody's face. They don't know what it is. Most people don't understand because they caught up with Christianity, but the people that do know, like he said in Daniel, those that are wise gonna shine like the sun. That's where we at. Those that understand. Okay.
Okay, one last thing, I promise you guys. In regards to what Mika just asked and you were talking about, it made me think, oftentimes in scripture, a word is given to prophets, and there's either a lot of it, some of it, or all of it that they're told to seal it up in a book and to keep it and not to tell anyone. Were things, scriptures that we now have, those we know that those were taken by non-Israelites, various different ones, burned, kept, edited, amended, taken out, all these different things. But now those things are in a book that we can read. I guess my question is, was it that no one had access to that except those wise people at those times, and now everybody does, and this is the time we're supposed to have it? Does that make sense? I don't know if I asked that right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but that's not when I look at that, that's not characteristics of the Creator. That's Edomites and then Europeans. Most I don't tell nobody you don't see where the Most High tell no prophet to seal up nothing, because the whole reason that the angel come and give him the vision is for him to go tell the people, to make it known. Because that's how he get, when he say, "I'll be glorified." That's how he get glorified. He send the angels down, and they reveal it to the prophet. The prophet reveal it to the people, and then the people are waiting on it. And then when it happens, that edifies him. So for him to say, seal it up in the book, that's the Edomites. That's not the characteristic of the Creator and the angels. That ain't how they operate.
Okay.
You know?
So that's another addition that they're just adding throughout.
Yeah,
okay.
That's another way for them to conceal things from us, and it lead us off on the wrong road. Because of a prime example of which nullifies that is Daniel 9:25, which I'm always dealing with. Daniel wasn't able to look at the book in Daniel chapter 9 when Darius came on the scene. He says, "I, Daniel, looked at the books of Jeremiah, what Jeremiah prophesied." So what if Jeremiah sealed it up? So in order for the Most High, Lord of hosts, to be justified, and in order for him for his righteous seed line that he's dealing with, for them to be protected and accounted for, he have to get a prophecy. The prophecy got to be revealed. So Daniel looking at what Jeremiah had, Gabriel told Jeremiah, and he looking at it, and he see it's right around the time. It's 70 years where he had prophesied. You don't tell no, you don't seal nothing up with no prophets. That's those Edomites. Yeah.
So and I feel like someone talked about this book a few classes ago. The Testament of Levi, is that a book that we should be reading?
Well, you can, me myself, you can read all of them. It's about getting the meat out of it, the understanding out of it. And sometimes you can read stuff, and then you're not quite sure about it. Then the Creator gonna bring it down and get it verified, and then you'll see what's good and what's not good.
Yes, sir.
Right.
In agreement with what you're saying about Edomites making that specific amendment and change to our scripture, the book of Levi starts off completely opposite, where Levi's telling all his sons everything.
Right. All 12, the testimony of the patriarchs is all revelations that the Lord hosts giving them for them to know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to say in any part of that, to say that seal part of it up, that's unrighteous.
Okay. Because that was going to be my next question. What would be the point of sealing it up? But there isn't any point. It was something added later into the scripture. Okay.
Right. That's something they did. They didn't add it to our scriptures, and now they got us dealing with it and doing those type of things. Like JC don't have nothing to do with us, but 99% of our people trying to make him fit into the scriptures when he don't have nothing to do with us. He's an add-on that they put in the story. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I was talking about. I'm just gonna make it a little more plain tonight, because I'm gonna go all the way in. I'm setting up something now. I'm gonna go all the way in on this Daniel chapter 11, but I'm just gonna give you the basics of it, and then I'm gonna play some of the video I was telling everybody about the Diadocian Wars. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but then you're gonna see how plain, and then you're gonna see how ridiculous other people that then came with trying to tie this together. They trying to tie Daniel to Revelations, but they don't have nothing, Daniel had nothing to do with Revelations. Okay, because Revelation was concocted. Revelations is like 7 or 8 of our books all mingled together. They made that. You got Zechariah in there, Daniel in there, you got Ezekiel in there. It's a whole bunch of books. Zechariah got all that tied together. And they concocted that and made that. But let me go to that right quick. First, I'm gonna go to the prophecy. of Daniel, right? We're dealing with Daniel chapter 11. Matter of fact, I'll read first part of chapter 11, which a lot of people don't understand that part, but I'm gonna read that first because it sets the timeline, the stage for you trying to rightly divide it. So you go to Daniel, let me get it. Okay. Daniel chapter 11, okay, and it says, and I was telling you about, you have to understand it's two Darius in the book of Daniel, right? So chapter 11 says also, this Gabriel talking, also I, Gabriel, in the first year of Darius, the Medes, even I stood, right, to confirm and to strengthen him. So who is Darius? Darius is the last king of the Medes and Persians, of the second beast. That's who Alexander had a fight with, and Alexander won. So Darius is the last king of the Medes and Persians. So it says, also I, in the first year of Darius, the Medes, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now I will show, here you go. I will show, I will now show thee the truth. Behold, there will stand up yet 3 kings in Persia. So the first, the Medes and Persians, he told you in the vision, the bear, the second beast was a bear, and he had 2 horns. Medes and Persians. The Persians came up, the Medes came up first, the higher horn. Then the Persians came up. It says, now, as I will show thee the truth behind, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia. And the 4th, which is Darius, the 4th, shall be far richer than all. And by his strength, through his riches, shall stir up also the realm of the Grecians. That's the 3rd beast. So that's who when you go back to Daniel chapter 7, you're gonna see it. You'll see that Daniel had a vision of a ram and a he-goat, right? And then he had the vision, and then Gabriel came and explained to him, let me get it. Daniel came and explained to him this chapter 8. Now Gabriel came and told him in verse 19, Daniel 8:19, and he said, behold, I will make thee know. Like I said, you ain't got to deal with Paul and Peter and John, the church fathers. Gabriel talking right here, he says, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation. That's what I was telling you about. The temple, Israel gonna come to the end, not the world. For at the time appointed, the end shall be. The end of Israel, not the world. 20. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings that go to Medes and Persians, second beast. Then 21. The rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes, Alexander. So when you understand this, Darius fought against Alexander. They brought the second beast to an end. Alexander conquered Darius. And then Alexander started rule, which is bringing us to our point. Now I go to 22. Now, that being broken, okay, 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn between his eyes is the first king, that's Alexander. So now the 3rd beast started, but it's nowhere in the scriptures. I told you that. So it says now, that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for you, 4 kingdoms just stand up out of that nation. So the Greek nation was divided into 4 parts because Alexander died. We're gonna see it right here. So yeah, right. He said, now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up, these 4 generals. Alexander divided the kingdom up into his 4 generals. Now it's not one, it's divided into 4 parts, right? It says, for 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of it, but not in his own power. We're gonna see that in a minute. because each one of them got their own objective. They didn't continue on with what Alexander did. Each one of them had their own objective. 23 says, in the latter time of their kingdom, the Greek kingdom, at the end of the third beast, when the transgressions aggressors are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance, understand dark sentences, that's Antiochus, that's the Antichrist. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own, not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, he shall prosper, practice, and he shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Right here. This is what we just read in 19. The time appointed, the end shall be. Not the end of the world. He said he's going to destroy the mighty and the holy people. Then 25, through his policies, this Antiochus, the Antichrist, through his policies, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace, he shall destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands. So that's prince of princes when you understand who Michael is. More in the very beginning, the Creator formed these 7 angels, 7 princes. Michael was the first one formed. He's greater. He's the Lord of hosts. So he ain't standing up against Yahweh. Yahweh ain't no prince. Who he stand up against is a prince, which is an angel. And he brought him to pass. It ain't JC. So he destroyed him. I was telling you about that it's in 2nd Maccabees, where he killed him in front of everybody. In front of all his whole army, he killed Antiochus. In front of it, destroyed him. They knew it was the Lord of hosts because of the way it happened. So anyway, what I was reading where verse 22, where it says Alexander came, destroyed Darius, and then he started the third beast. Then 22, 12 years later, now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kings shall stand up out of that nation, but not by his own power. So this is what I want to pick up with the video. So here go the 4 kings right here. None of this is in the Bible, because they don't want you to know in the Bible. But you can't go from here to Revelation. You got to go from here to what I'm getting ready to play you.
The Wars of the Diadochi were a long period of successive and destructive wars in Greece and the Middle East over the ruins of Alexander's empire. His generals, the Diadochi, and their sons, the Epigoni, fought tooth and nail with horizon-spanning armies to secure as much of his empire as they could.
So let me interject right quick. So I'm in Daniel chapter 12. Show you what I'm talking about. It says, verse 11, Daniel 12 and 11, and from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away and the abomination that make it desolate be set up, there shall be 1,200 no, let me see, 925. I'm tripping. My bad. Daniel 9:25 says, 26, that after 62 weeks shall the Messiah, this is Rubel, shall be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come, this is Antiochus, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end wars and desolation. This is the Diadochi right here. Wars and desolations are determined. See that? So let's go.
With the help of both Greek and barbarian troops. In our series, we have tried to cover as much of the wars as possible, but there are more stories to tell. In this long-form video, we will try to...
I'm just going to skip through this, but the name of the video is A Sad End to Alexandria's Empire, the Diadochi Wars, right?
Fill in the gaps and discuss lesser-known details of the wars, such as the Nabatean confrontations and the Celtic invasions of Greece. We will also more extensively discuss the aftermath of the Syrian wars between the Ptolemaic and Seleucid dynasties. As this epic showdown unfolds with this new information, we will provide more entertaining and informative content while also correcting any mistakes in our shorter videos. Welcome to our overview of the wars of the Diadochi, their epic battles, and the birth of the Hellenistic age.
And like I said, I don't know about nobody else, but this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Because you going from Daniel to them Revelations. You go to truth right here. You can't get out of it.
One series of wars that's even more comprehensive than the wars of the Diadochi, and that's the endless mega war of the Warhammer mercenaries with Athenian money and with.
There are 2 ways to check out online. One wastes time, one earns more.
We're gonna let the demon get in the way. Okay. Go.
Pro-Macedon forces in Palatea, the Athenian strategos went to the famous site of Thermopylae to face down the Macedonian life. Thus, when Macedonian kings ended up ruling over lands of incredible wealth, like Persia, people who felt they had a noble right to rule due to Macedonian courtly values ended up clashing with other generals of less noble birth who had invested in fighting with Alexander. The various parts of the empire the Diadochi ended up ruling had their own traditions and social structures, and this.
That's what we just read. He said that Alexander was going to die, and he divided the kingdom up by his 4 generals, but not by his own power. And he just told you why, because they got their own. Each one of these men got their own agendas, own plans. So as soon as Alexander died, and they received that power, they wasn't trying to do what Alexander did. They had their own power.
Acted how each epigonos acted. Hellenistic kingship emulated Alexander for legitimacy, at least in the early period, and this appeal to continuity is a key issue for the wars. The Diadochi used these militaristic values to assert control in their courts and form government structures on top of the existing local ones. After an initial morning shock, the Diadochi met before an assembly of their soldiers in front of Alexander's empty throne in the partition of Babylon, called by Perdiccas, the man who now served as temporary.
And just for GP, like I said, just same thing with this. This is what I mean by us being brainwashed. The same thing right here. Once it's revealed to you, Alexander died. Where all the information is? What happened after this man died? That's what Daniel's talking about. What happened after this man died? And the same thing with Genesis 15. The Most High said, you're going to die in your old age. You're going to live to a good old age and die. Your children going to go into captivity. Ain't no way in hell he talking about America. He's talking about after Abraham died, your children going into captivity. That's in Egypt. Ain't no way in hell it's in America. Same right here. Alexander just died. You got to deal with that. He ain't just freeze everything until Jesus came. After Alexander died, there's a big ass vacuum that took place. Wars happened. That's what Daniel's telling you. You can't go to Revelations.
The regent over Alexander's empire. Perdiccas, the son of a noble Macedonian family from Orestis, had placed the diadem, ring, cuirass, and robe on the throne, and said that they had to choose a new leader. This immediately divided the room, as the Diadochi all had different ideas as to who that leader should be. One proposal by Nearchos, the man who had sailed from India back to Persia, was to crown Heracles, the son of Alexander and Basini. Another choice was to wait and see if Roshanak's child would be a boy, and let him rule. Ptolemy, who had served alongside Alexander, instead proposed a rule by council. This was partially due to xenophobia, as unlike Alexander's pragmatic and ambitious policy of accommodating Persian and Greek customs into one universal monarchy, most of the Diadochi did not want to be ruled by half-Persian emperors. Ultimately, no consensus could be found, and soon conflict erupted. Meleager, an experienced general who fought against the Getae, said that this entire council was all a master plan by Perdiccas, because no matter which child ruled, he would be its guardian, and thus the de facto king. In typical Greek soap opera fashion, one random soldier in the background shouted that Alexander's half-brother, Archidaeus, was already here and could rule. Despite objections being raised that Arrhidaeus had some sort of mental disability that allowed him to function but made him prone to bouts of instability, many soldiers agreed he should rule. Two factions formed, one of mostly generals siding with Perdiccas, and one of mostly soldiers with Arrhidaeus. Meleager, under unclear circumstances, ended up joining the second faction, and gained so much support that Perdiccas was forced to call for help from the Persian Epigoni, the Persian nobles who had sided with Alexander. A stalemate developed, and the next day, Meleager assembled the mutineers to find and arrest Perdiccas. The faction that had sided with Perdiccas got Eumenes, the secretary who...
So this is what happened right after he died. All hell broke loose. This is what Danny telling you. All these wars broke out. But I want to fast forward. Okay.
Moved to winter in Gabiini. While in Media, Antigonus conspired to catch the old fox Eumenes by surprise. So he took part of his army and marched through the cold Persian winter of 316 BCE, trekking through the harsh terrain and Angra blizzard storms. Somehow this plan was discovered by Eumenes, who scrambled his troops and organized them for a fight. To intimidate Antigonus, he put small contingents on the various hills and then lit campfires to give the impression that their forces were massive in size. Antigonus held back from the attack, waiting for the rest of his army to make the trek and join him. The two armies maintain his Susa marriage with his Sogdian wife, Apama. To increase connections with Persian nobles, the couple even claimed that Apama was the daughter of the earth. If you wish to remain here many days, since you lack water and all the other necessary supplies, nor can you force us to live a different life. But you will have a few captives, disheartened slaves who would not consent to live among strange ways. This, according to Diodorus, is what caused Demetrios to withdraw and seek negotiations. The Nabateans negotiated an exchange in which some of their wealth would be given as tribute, as well as some of the elder.
So keep in mind, you heard that like 4 times, the Nabateans. I got a golden nugget for that.
As hostages. Demetrios agreed to these demands and then withdrew back from whence he came. However, this was not the end of his presence in Arabia. Demetrios set up camp by the Dead Sea, notorious for being so salty it almost allows one to float on the surface of the lake. There he took some anthropological notes on the bitumen industry of the local Nabateans, something that is described in detail by Diodorus. He also sent reports to his father on both the industry and how it would be profitable, and on his deal with the Nabateans. Antigonus, who still wished to subdue the region, criticized his son for this deal, saying that he had emboldened the locals by allowing them to go unpunished for their supposed insolence. Thus, Demetrios sent the commander and historian Hieronymus, who served as a source for Diodorus, to try and raid the bitumen outposts of the Nabateans. We know little of what transpired, but according to Diodorus, the Nabateans organized themselves in amphibious guerrilla formations. They took rafts, and a contingent of 6,000 men sailed towards the expeditionary force in the Dead Sea, and, using arrows, killed almost the entire enemy force. This was the final confrontation. Antigonus by now had to worry about the upper satrapies and the Seleucid threat, so he decided to withdraw from the region. While they gained some valuable resources, they were ultimately forced to leave the stubbornly defiant Nabateans alone. Antigonus would have attacked the Nabateans further, but found himself having to relocate his military resources, for the conflict with his Diadochi rivals was soon to become a 3-front war, as Seleucus advanced upon Babylon. Seleucus and his 1,000 troops were marching east through Syria when they were joined by 1,000 more soldiers from Carrhae, the city of astrologers.
You're going somewhere.
He arrived in Babylon in May to find the city gates open to him, likely due to the good relations he had cultivated with the city's elites. The general must have been gleeful at this reception, but his mood soured when he turned to the citadel and saw that Antigone's loyalists were barricaded inside. Thus, he and his troops blocked the citadel and initiated a siege. Seleucus cut off water in the city and then constructed a dam on the Euphrates River, which ran through the citadel. The Antigonid loyalists continued to resist, and thus Seleucus ordered the dam destroyed. A massive tidal wave crashed into the walls, smashing them apart. The citizens of Babylon must have been shocked at the titanic move, and after some small pockets of resistance were snuffed out, the Antigonids surrendered. Seleucus was finally ruler of Babylon, and by extension, the heart of the Persian Empire. Knowing things were about to get tough in the east, Antigonus began negotiations with Cassander and Lysimachus. At the same time, his satraps, Nicanor of Media and Euagoras of Aria, mustered 17,000 troops and moved to meet him. Flushed from his victory in Babylon, Seleucus mustered 3,000 infantry and 400 cavalry. They moved into the marshes of the Tigris to intercept these two satraps before they could link up with Antigonus. When Nicanor and Euagoras arrived on the banks of the Tigris, they were unaware that Seleucus was still around. He thus ordered his men to camp for the night. Seleucus waited until nightfall, then pounced like a tiger upon Nicanor's poorly guarded stockade, engaging in a mass slaughter. Euagoras was killed in the commotion, causing the Persians under his command to change allegiances. Nicanor fled with a few remaining allies, leaving Seleucus to take over Media and Elam. While the havoc in the Orient was occurring, Antigonus was busy with negotiations. Ptolemy was brought into the discussions with the other Diadochi, resulting in the conclusion of a treaty known as the Peace of the Dynasts. Per its terms, Cassander received Macedon and Thessaly, and was permitted to put garrisons in Greek cities, which were now seen as independent by all kings. Lysimachus continued to own Thrace, while Ptolemy consolidated control over Cyprus and Egypt. Antigonus was left with the rest, but his core of control was centered around Phoenicia, Asia Minor, and Syria. It was also agreed that Alexander IV, son of Roshanak and Alexander III, would take over once he came of age. However, seeing the son of the great conqueror as a threat to his rule, Cassander decided to act, ordering him discreetly slain and his body hidden. Thus passed the son of Alexander, grandson of Philip, and the last king of the Argead dynasty, which had ruled Macedonia for centuries. Roshanak perished as well in a foreign land. This tragic and unceremonious end is a testament to the brutality of Hellenistic politics. Cassander did not announce the deaths of Roshanak and Alexander IV publicly, fearing retribution, and thus continued to claim to rule as regent on behalf of Alexander's bloodline, rather than as a usurper king who had snuffed it out. One man was excluded from the Peace of the Dynasts, Seleucus, who now had taken the title Nicator, or the Victorious. He had now taken Aria and Persia, with only really Sogdiana and Bactria being free of his control. The Third War of the Diadochi was finally over, but the balance of power between the former generals of Alexander remained incredibly tense. Antigonus was determined to conquer the East once more, while Seleucus was spreading rumors that Alexander had appeared to him in a dream and had proclaimed him to be king. The sabers were rattled, and Antigonus began preparations to retake Babylon. War was coming once more, and the ancient Fertile Crescent would be its battleground.
Trying to find some. Keep letting it play.
The Babylonian War, we must first disclose that the available primary sources on this conflict are scarce, as the eastern parts of the Hellenistic world suffer from a general lack of detailed sources. As such, we will be constructing as coherent a narrative as we can with what we have. Ironically, for such a poorly attested conflict, the Babylonian War was extremely important. Without it, the Seleucid Empire would not exist, and the Antigonids would have been a far more powerful dynasty with a far wider reach. The war's back.
So let me go in and get the trying to find something. But anyway, so now I'll go to Daniel chapter 11. I want to show you something. So that was his four generals, right? Alexander's four generals, when he passed away, they divided the kingdom up. But you understand who these Greeks are? They drama queens. So all hell broke loose. That's what Daniel said. Wars and desolation was going to come, right? So when you go to chapter 11, it says, when you start reading, it says, verse 4, and when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and it shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven. We just read that. We just saw that. And not to his prosperity, nor according to his dominion, which he shall rule, for the kingdom shall be plucked up, even until for others beside those. And the king of the south, this is my point. So the king of the south, king of the north, king of the east and the west, these are the four generals. You got Negroes going over to the Revelations. They looking for the king of the south to show up now. But the king of the south, the king of the north, all these generals. The king of the south is Bartholomew. Right here. And when you're watching this, it's not something in the future. It already happened. Okay, and then over here, I read this other night, 14. And at those times, they should stand up against the king of the south. That's Bartholomew. Also, the robbers of our people, that's Edomites. So our temple already been robbed. In Obadiah, they stole it. Esau stole the land of Israel in 143 BC. Like I was telling you, that's how we ended up on the West Coast. That's how we got scattered. And like I said, we reformed because it was already Israelites on the West Coast from previous captivities. And so they all fled. The Lord of hosts had Antiochus run us out of Israel, but we ended up fleeing into Africa because it was known trails, known pathways that led to North Map. There was nobody living in West Africa at the time. And so that's where all Israelites was fleeing to. But my point is this, these wars, the Adocian wars, Greek wars, and by the time these wars ended, like you said, they was of a long duration. By the time they ended is when Julius Caesar showed up. Antiochus came at the end of the third beast, and right at the same time, Julius Caesar was there. Antiochus burning the law, ran the Israelites out, then the Romans just picked it up. Where he left off, he already started it. He already set the stage. They don't give a damn about the Most High law. They're burning his books. So, like I said before, it's an insult. If you're going to run, if you're leaving from Daniel trying to go to Revelation, come on, you're crazy as hell. So anyway, like I said, this video is it's a bunch of videos. This is one I chose. The sad end of Alexandria Empire, the Diadochi Wars, every battle and the full story. So I just kind of scanned through it. But these right here, when you're watching this Diadochian Wars, you're gonna see everything that you read in Daniel chapter 11 is in Daniel chapter 11 is in this video. You gotta just watch it and write it about it. And I was trying to find the part about them coming together at one table with this woman, but I couldn't. I couldn't find it. I couldn't. I didn't want to waste no time on that. But it's in there. Any comments on that before we go? Like I said, I'll get more. I'm gonna do another video on another channel and get more into depth with it. Set a video for the record. Okay. So we're gonna pick a scripture and then we'll break it down and close out.
Shalom, brother Leonard. Who's that woman that they met with? You were just talking about.
I was trying to get her name up on when they said the thing, but I saw it, but then when I went over and click on it, so I'm just not gonna fumble with it. I gotta go back and look at it, on my own time and get the name.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
Shalom, everyone. If nobody has a scripture, I was gonna ask about Isaiah 61:7.
Okay, you gonna read it?
Sure. All right. I want Isaiah 61:7. For your shame ye shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore, in their land they shall possess the double everlasting joy be unto them.
Okay.
What I want to say about it is I'm wondering is all of this also tie into what the Gentiles have done over the years. That is this meaning that they will be punished for the things that they have done, and the meek or the people that they felt did all these things to will eventually will have future restoration and reward for all of the things that the people have been through. You know what I mean?
Right. That's exactly what it's saying. And like I was saying earlier, Israel, because our history of being a stiff-necked people, we've been in a lot of people know about Egypt, captivity in Egypt, and they know about the captivity in Babylon, and they know about the one here. But we was in like 14 or 15 different captivities, and every time we go into captivity, he would bring these people. They take us in captivity. After we serve them, he bring us out. Then he judge those people. That's one of his characteristics. So he would bring us to put us under subjection, and then he come and deliver us, and then he bless us, bring us back, and we get double. And he punish the people the nation that came and got us. That's what we're getting ready to, that's what we're in the process of looking at right now with what these people done to us in America. We've been gathered up. He's gonna get us out, then he's gonna deal with them, then he's gonna bless us. It's a process he's been doing from the beginning. That's what you just read. Okay. Anybody else got anything before we go?
Yes, sir. Shalom. In accordance to what you and Mika were just discussing, that reminds me of Edomites, Esau, when our people, our ancestors were being taken away, Israelites, how they came and just wreaked havoc, and they're the ones that tore down the temple. And so later on we hear that they specifically are going to be punished for that. Like, how dare you in the midst of me punishing the Israelites come over and take advantage of it and just make a hot mess of Jerusalem. Yeah. It's something that they burned down the temple, and they could have stayed out of it, but being the Edomites, they thought that was the best thing to do.
Yeah, right. That was part of script prophecy. That's why they doing it. But I'm gonna read this right quick before I close. About the Nabateans, because I mentioned their name kept coming up, but a lot of people don't. Like I said, people looking for the Nabateans here now in 2025 at the end times, but that's not where they at. I'll go to Psalm 83 right quick. Psalm 83. They part of the people that the reason why we don't know who we are. So it says in verse 2, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Then you go to verse 6 and show you the people that he's talking about. The tabernacle of Edom, the Ishmaelites, the Moabites, right? The Hagarenes, Gibal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistine, the inhabitants of Tyre, Asher, have joined with them to help the children of Lot, Selah. Do not do unto them as the Midianites and Sisera, and to Jabin and to the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles be as Orb and Zeb, and their princes as Zebah and Zuma, who said unto us, take unto ourselves the houses of God, possession. Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame set it, that the mountains on fire, so persecute them with the tempest, and make them afraid with the storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, and let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the most high over all earth. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I'll see everybody tomorrow for reading through the Tanakh. Okay, it's 7 p.m. Central Time. Shalom. I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.